it's Micah. Welcome to the latest edition of the Sounding Board. This week I have something very fresh on my mind. I have gotten my first real taste of negative comments, and so in light of that, I am going to talk today about the dangers of gatekeeping and what it means to do a reaction video. In some ways, this is very similar to the things I've already discussed in prior videos, so pardon me while I recap and repeat myself a little bit. Most recently, I voiced concerns about gatekeeping in relation to country music, with people being very reluctant to acknowledge that Beyonce's new record is a country song. Now, not to get too much into the weeds with that, but while I do understand there are pop and soul elements incorporated in the song, there are also numerous examples on country radio of songs with a heavy pop influence. No one really gave Faith Hill too much of a hard time, I recall. Loads of songs with much more rock influence than country in their instrumentation. Just in general, I think there's a lack of consistency in how we're evaluating the songs. It's not an issue for someone who's already gone through the Nashville system to bend those rules a little bit and do something that's maybe not quite so country, but it still ends up being okay on the charts. But for someone to come in from the outside and do something that has, in some ways, even more authentic instrumentation, and here I am getting in the weeds, but for that to happen and for people to suddenly raise objections to it, there's a degree of hypocrisy there. So I think gatekeeping is problematic in that instance because sometimes it might be race-based, sometimes it might be culturally based, sometimes it might be politically based. And the gatekeeping, you're welcome as a fan of the music to try to gatekeep it all you want to, but I just say that there's dangers associated with that. Similarly, Olivia Rodrigo, I've watched comments or I've read comments on her videos and of her generally, and have seen where people are debating over whether or not she qualifies as rock music. They say, oh, she's from Disney, she's pop, she's this, she's that, she's not rock. So I see a lot of gatekeeping there as well, and it happens all the time across many different types of music. But my broader point is, the more that you gatekeep and the more that you deny people in sharing in your musical community, the more that you make yourself irrelevant and potentially make your music obsolete and ultimately cause it to choke off and die out. Music changes and different influences find their way in. Dancehall is not something that I'm necessarily an expert in, but I do know that it took reggae and it incorporated more modern influences with dance music and with hip hop, and it brought it to a different place. So now that's kind of part of the general family of reggae Caribbean music. And I'm sure there's people who wanted to gatekeep that. There's always those people that do that, but when they become very vocal and are able to really exert a functional wall between the real whatever it is that they're gatekeeping and people who are interlopers coming in from the outside, the more that you do that, the more that you risk turning people away who might otherwise be very valuable contributors to your fandom. And so I say all that to say that rock music, some people say rock music is dead or it's dying. And then I say there's also some people who are actively trying to choke it to death by saying that, well, this isn't rock because it came from this person, or because it has this instrumentation, or it has this particular thing which rubs me the wrong way, calling it a rock song. Same thing with country, same thing with lots of different types of music, but you risk that obsolescence. This past week, I did my most viewed video yet, and it was a complete surprise to me that it got as many views as it did, and is continuing to gain views. But I've also had the toughest time moderating the comments for it. I guess, more views, more problems, right? So I had the audacity to react to the Battle of New Orleans by Johnny Horton, and I took it at face value the way it was presented, which was as a kind of a silly, goofy, fun song about war. Given that I'm not generally pro-war, pro-violence, or any of that stuff, yes, I guess I get it that it happens in the world, but it doesn't mean I have to like it. I just found it a little dissonant, the tone of the song and what the subject matter was. And so I have received a barrage of comments, not really a barrage yet, but enough, but way more than I usually get. I've been accused of the sin of being sensitive, implying that I was a commie, which I didn't even realize was still a word that people seriously used, and all kinds of other things for having the nerve to just take the song at face value the way it was performed in the clip. Not to mention that there are, from what I understand, there are a number of historical inaccuracies in the song and anachronisms in the performance itself. So the song isn't really reliably historical, but apparently a lot of people still are quite gatekeepy about it. But so here's the thing, though. I will deal with these comments, and for those that cross over the line and become harassment, I will take those down. That's just how that's going to work. But the real damage that's done here is that the next time that I come up on a song like the Battle of New Orleans, I'm going to think twice before I even decide to react to it. And for those of you, hopefully, I don't know who's watching this and who isn't, but for those of you who may have had a negative reaction to my reaction, I would say that's probably great news to you that I'm not reacting to these videos that are sacred cows for you, and insulting your sense of patriotism and your love of this style of music. But the broader impact there, not from me because my channel is small, and hopefully it won't always be that way, but right now it definitely is. I'm still getting my footing in this, and so yeah, that's really the real reason why I'm not getting a lot of views. It's because I'm just starting, and time will tell. If I'm still not getting any views in 2 years, maybe it is because I just blather on and don't say anything. The broader impact is going to be that anytime someone goes into your style of music and doesn't honor it in exactly the way that you want them to honor it, and you run them away, then they're just not going to return. And gradually you're going to get fewer and fewer people engaging you about what these songs are and what they mean to you. And there's a respectful way of saying, I understand your reaction and your perspective on it. This is what it meant to me. This is how it played into my life. And I've read a number of comments which were beautiful reminiscences of people talking about being at camp, being a kid, being a part of their childhood. That's, those things really help me contextualize and help me understand that just in the same way that, I don't know, Darling Nikki from Prince can be, some people will call that a problematic song, but it's a song from my childhood that I associate with mainly with the controversy that came up around the song and Tipper Gore and all that kind of stuff. But it's still something that holds a place in my memory for me of the 80s. So it helps to understand that, these memories are complicated. They don't always have to mean that the people who did them are beyond reproach. You can still have fondness for something that's kind of not that great, or maybe was morally questionable. It doesn't always have to be this straight line of I remember it fondly, therefore it's good. These things can be complicated. But if you engage with people in an open-minded way, then you can get them to live with that music a little more. As for me, I could very well just wash my hands of it and say I'm not reacting to any more songs that I think will garner these type of reactions, and therefore I'm closing myself off from that piece of music history, which up to this point I hadn't even started looking into in the first place because it's not my wheelhouse. But the moment I crack the door open a little bit and start pondering how I feel about the music, and I get a lot of blowback about what my gut level reaction to the video is, and I'm basically being told that my opinion doesn't matter, then it's just going to cause me to shut myself off from the music and not listen to it anymore. So be careful. I would say to all the gatekeepers of the world, be careful what you gatekeep, because there might not be anyone interested in getting in or through your gate down the line if you continue to turn them away. And as a postscript of sorts, because this is mainly about the gatekeeping, reaction videos. I feel like I shouldn't have to explain this, but I make a point on each of the titles of my videos that I type at the end, reaction video. What that means is that the person who created the content is giving you their reaction to the video or to the music in the form of a video. I'm pausing there because I need for everyone to digest that fact. If you as a YouTube user are interested in listening to music, then you listen to the music. The links are in all of if you happen upon my video, but you don't want to hear someone talking about it, and you just want to hear the music, I put the link. I haven't always done that, so if you look at my older videos, they may not be in there, but I have, in the past few weeks, I've as a best practice, I have put the link specifically in the description. So if you come up on one of my videos and you do not want to hear me talk, click the link in there, because that's the song I'm reacting to. That has none of my commentary. Otherwise, the purpose of my channel is to convey my reactions and talk about these things in relationship to what I feel about music in general. I'm not well versed in particular aspects of pop music, but I have been listening to music my entire life. Some things I know more about than others, and regardless, the things I do know about help shape my perception of things that I don't know about, and that's my perspective. If any part of my perspective rubs you the wrong way, then you can discuss that in an open way and say, I disagree with you. But what you're not going to do is tell me that I'm worthless because I don't agree with you, or that my opinion is worthless. It's as meaningful as anyone chooses to make it. I spent many, many years of my life not valuing my own opinion enough. And so I'm kind of over anyone telling me that these things aren't relevant because they aren't relevant to you, or they're not important because they're not important to you. Obviously, everyone lives inside their own head and has their own opinions. And reaction videos are a way for those of us who do this kind of thing to relate to people in the outside world and to say, hey, I saw this. This is what I thought about it. Tell me what you think about it. Tell me what you think about it. I don't need you to tell me what you think about me, because number one, you don't know me. Some of you may know me, but most of you do not know me. So, and this is and I also understand that this is something that, hey, welcome to YouTube. Welcome to the brutality of social media. It's not a place for the weak of heart. But I thought that this would be a good time to address it since I'm getting my first taste of it. And I'm making this video as much for myself as for anybody else. So once again, gatekeeping, continue to do it too aggressively. No one will want to even get into what you're trying to gatekeep. Reaction videos are where people react to things. They don't send you a questionnaire and ask you, how would you like me to react to this video? And then you return the questionnaire and I read it off like a script. That's not going to happen, and it wouldn't be productive. The only way we can have a dialogue, the only reason to have a dialogue in the first place is because people have different perspectives. So I'll leave it at that. I hope that given all this, maybe you'll check out that video if you haven't already. Check out some of the other videos on the channel. Check out especially check out some more of the of these commentary, of these editorial videos. I know they don't get as many views because no one cares so much about what I have to say. They mainly want to know what I have to say in relationship to something that they care about, which is a specific song. And here I'm just doing it on my own. So, but I would really appreciate it if you check out some other episodes of The Sounding Board. I'd like to grow this part of my channel as well. So if you like this video, please hit the like button. If you would like to subscribe to the channel, please do so. And most importantly, make music better.